Okay, let's unpack this. So picture this. You've got an academic assignment staring you down.
Hmm.
It's not just about showing what you know, it's asking you to look inward at your own learning,
Right.
connect it to what's happening right here, and then zoom way, way out, to think about global health and what it means to be a professional nurse.
Yeah. It feels like a big ask, doesn't it? Moving from me to we to the world.
It really does.
And it absolutely is designed that way. It's meant to be a significant step in your development.
How so?
Well, shifting your perspective, from
Yeah.
just your personal experience to seeing how that fits into much larger professional and global contexts.
Okay. And the good news is we're not navigating this blind. We've got, like, a treasure trove of insights here.
Yeah, what have we
A
got?
stack of notes and discussion points straight from a teaching session, specifically crafted to guide you through writing this exact kind of reflective essay for your nursing module.
Ah, brilliant. So think of these notes as your experience guide to the terrain then. They probably lay out the essential requirements, highlight key concepts, offer really practical tips.
And point out the hidden pitfalls to avoid. Yes.
Good stuff.
So our mission in this deep dive is to distill all of that wisdom. We're going to pull out the absolute most important nuggets, connect the dots.
Yeah, help you understand not just what the assignment is, but why it matters.
And how to approach it effectively, how to really show your learning.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Let's start by clarifying what this assignment is actually asking you to do at its core.
Right, so it's a 1,000-word reflective account.
Yeah, based on a specific activity you did, and crucially, the learning that came from it.
But, and this is key, it's not just about recounting your personal feelings or, what you did.
Mm-hmm.
The notes really emphasize this deliberate expansion of scope.
Expansion, how so?
You start with your experience, sure, but then you connect it outwards to the local community context.
Okay.
And finally, you link it to the broader global health agenda. It's like a ripple effect of understanding.
Ah, I see. And that makes perfect sense because, as the notes remind us, this is for the Student Select 3 module.
Which is all about that global health agenda, yeah.
Yeah.
And recognizing the massive differences in healthcare systems around the world.
So every part of your essay, every point you make, should ultimately serve to demonstrate you've met the module's learning outcomes.
Precisely. You need to show your grasp of knowledge points, like the wider determinants of health, local and global.
And understanding what global citizenship means in a healthcare context.
Exactly. Plus, demonstrating key skills.
Like identifying your own learning needs, reflecting on teamwork if it was group work.
Evaluating health information, and critically showing how theory connects to practice.
Specifically referencing the NMC code, right? The notes mention that.
Absolutely. Your success hinges on linking your personal reflection back to these required outcomes.
Okay, so it's reflective writing, but it's clearly structured and purposeful. What's the real difference here between just, reflecting in your head and what they mean by reflective practice for this assignment?
That's a great question, and the notes make a really key distinction. Reflection is the internal process.
The thinking bit.
Yeah, the thinking, the mulling things over in your head.
Yeah.
It's essential, but it's just the first step.
So if reflection is the thought.
And reflective practice is externalizing that thought. It's the act of writing it down, analyzing it, consolidating the learning,
Okay.
and crucially, creating an action plan. It's transforming that internal, that was interesting, into this is what I learned, and this is what I will do differently because of it.
Right, right. Making the learning tangible and actionable. There's a definition from the professor in the notes that captures this perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Reflective practice in this context is about learning something, working with other people, expanding your knowledge, identifying your gaps to be able to shape your future in healthcare as a nurse.
That sums it up well.
And to guide this structured process, the notes are very clear. You might hear about other models, like Shun.
Which focuses on reflection and on practice.
Exactly. But for this assignment, you must use Rolf's model.
What? So what? Now what?
That's the one. That is your required framework.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable, according to these notes.
Okay, so the Rolf model is the skeleton of the essay. Let's walk through how the notes break down each of those sections.
Absolutely. You start with what? This is the descriptive part.
But the key insight here is keep it brief, right?
Totally. The notes suggest a tight 100 to 200 words. Don't waffle here.
So don't spend ages describing the activity. Just outline what it was, how you engaged, resources used.
And importantly, mention your prior understanding, or any knowledge gaps you had before you started.
Okay.
The notes give that example of choosing alcohol misuse as a topic.
Right.
In the what section, you'd briefly state, maybe you chose it because your prior knowledge was limited.
And you wanted to understand its relevance to Scotland. Maybe mentioning culture, economy, abuse issues.
Exactly. You might drop in one quick statistic if it grounds it, but don't get bogged down in detail here.
And if it was a group activity, mention the format here too.
Yes, and the big warning from the notes. Do not repeat this description anywhere else in the essay.
Describe it once in the what section and move on. Got it.
Precisely. Because the real heavy lifting happens in the next section. So what?
Ah, okay. This is the main bit.
This is the analytical and reflective heart of the essay. You'll have significantly more words here. Definitely check the template for the exact count, but it's the largest chunk by far.
And this is where you bring in all that juicy module content. Ideas from week 0, week 1, week 2, the global citizen stuff.
Yes. This is where you demonstrate you've actually learned something beyond just your personal experience. You're making connections.
And this is where citations become absolutely critical.
Crucial. You must back up your analysis and points with evidence from relevant sources. The note specifically flagged the NMC code, reminding you it's the 2018 version.
Okay, so how do you make that leap in the so what section? From your local activity, like the alcohol example, to the global perspective the module requires.
The notes offer a brilliant way to think about this. Using that alcohol example, you could look at alcohol-related deaths in Scotland
Okay.
and then compare the data, or maybe the healthcare approaches, to a different country. Say, Australia, as the notes suggest.
And ask.
What are they doing differently? What lessons can you, as a future nurse, draw from that global comparison? It's about analysis.
Ah, so it's not just stating this is different over there. It's analyzing why it might be different and extracting potential lessons or insights.
Exactly that. Insights that could inform your practice or understanding back here.
So you're using the global context to reflect more deeply on your local understanding.
Spot on. This is where you show your awareness of global health challenges beyond, say, the UK NHS bubble.
And you can link in module themes here, like health inequalities, global citizenship.
Or even the sustainability goals, if they're relevant to your chosen topic.
Absolutely. And this analytical depth, moving from simply describing to insightful explanation.
That's the level 9 thinking they're looking for. That's exactly what the notes indicate. Level 9, analysis, connections, drawing in module themes, and backing it all up with sources.
Okay. Level 9 thinking. Got it. Analysis, connections, sources.
Which brings us neatly to the final, shorter section. Now what?
Right, the wrap-up bit. The notes suggest around 100 words for this. Again, check the template.
Always check the template. Yes,
Yeah.
around 100 words, and this section is all about looking forward.
So, based on this whole reflective process, the what and the so what, how has your learning actually shaped your thinking about your future practice as a nurse?
And the crucial requirement here, flagged strongly in the notes, is that this future-focused section must directly link to the NMC code.
The NMC code again. The notes really hammer this home as non-negotiable. What are the core components we need to know?
Okay, so the NMC code from 2018 is built on 4 key pillars. Sometimes the notes call them themes.
Which are?
1, prioritize people. 2, practice effectively. 3, preserve safety. And 4, promote professionalism and trust.
And the assignment requires you to pick 2 of these.
Yes, you need to choose the 2 pillars that resonate most strongly or are most relevant to the learning and insights you've discussed in your essay.
And you have to explicitly name the pillars you choose and cite the NMC code correctly.
Absolutely mandatory. The notes warn against trying to rephrase the names of the pillars themselves. Use the exact wording.
But generally paraphrase your discussion around the code, not just long quotes.
Exactly. Avoid extensive direct quotes. Focus on explaining the link.
So the now what section is where you demonstrate how your reflective journey has directly impacted your commitment to upholding these professional standards. Like how will your learning change how you prioritize people or practice effectively in the future?
Precisely. It makes the whole reflection practical and professionally relevant. It grounds it.
Okay, that makes sense. We've covered the structure, the core content, the NMC code. What about the practical stuff, the tips for actually writing this thing and the classic mistakes to avoid?
Right, the nuts and bolts. The notes are full of practical gold here. First and foremost, use the template provided.
Seems obvious, but easy to forget.
And the front cover sheet.
Yeah.
Simple but critical. Don't lose marks for silly things.
Good point. And those word counts, you said it's not just hitting 1,000 words overall.
No. And this is flagged as a key pitfall. You need to pay close attention to the suggested word count for each specific section within the template.
So you don't write like 500 words for what and leave only 300 for the really important so what.
Exactly. Keep the balance they suggest. The 1,000 words includes your in-text citations.
But not the reference list at the end.
Correct. And aim for at least 1,000 words. They mention a 10% allowance, but the advice seems to be hit or slightly exceed 1,000. Don't be under.
Okay. And writing style. It's academic, formal, but reflective essays do allow for I, right?
Yes, you can use the first person I, but use it judiciously. You're reflecting on your experience and learning, sure, but the overall tone needs to remain academic and analytical.
So not just a diary entry.
Definitely not. It's not purely narrative or, stream of consciousness. Keep it focused.
Okay. Now here's a fascinating and very specific tip from the notes, reflecting the current academic landscape. Make sure your English spelling is consistently British English.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, the notes suggest it's a potential red flag for markers. If your essay is full of American spellings, color instead of color, center instead of center.
They might suspect it was heavily generated by AI,
Mm-hmm.
like ChatGPT defaulting to U.S. English.
That seems to be the concern flagged.
Oh.
It's an easy check in your word processor, but it's crucial for how your work is perceived regarding academic integrity.
Wow, that's a specific insight into what markers are looking out for now. Good tip.
Okay.
What else? Engaging with module resources.
Absolutely essential, the notes say. Use the Blackboard material. Check the discussion board, not just for asking questions, but see what others are thinking about the prompts.
Yeah, get ideas, see different perspectives.
Exactly. Use the weekly content, revisit the learning outcomes constantly, and keep checking the rubric or marking criteria. These are your primary tools.
Any external resources they recommend?
The notes suggest looking up things like YouTube videos explaining Rolf's model, maybe in a different way.
Okay, get another angle on it.
Yeah. Or just Googling terms like appraise, critique, examine, to really get your head around the level of analysis needed for level 9.
Right, understanding those action verbs.
And also look at feedback you've received on previous reflective work. That can be incredibly helpful for improvement.
Makes sense. Learn from past mistakes or successes.
Yeah.
What about the actual process of writing it?
The advice is don't try to write it perfectly, linearly the first time. Get your ideas down first.
Brainstorm.
Yeah, use a mind map, bullet points, whatever works for you to just get the thoughts out. Then structure those ideas using the Rolf questions and the template sections.
Finding evidence.
Find the information and sources to support your points. Make sure you're paraphrasing correctly, cite as you go, then draft it into the essay format.
But remember, no bullet points in the final submission.
Absolutely not. Full sentences, proper paragraphs.
And the notes mention the cyclical nature of Rolf's model.
Yeah, that's key. This reflective process isn't just a one-off thing for this assignment. Reflective practice is meant to be a continuous cycle.
Learning, acting, learning again.
Yeah.
Throughout your whole professional life.
Exactly. And finally, those warnings about potential failure. What are the big no-nos?
The notes are pretty blunt. You can fail this. The major reasons highlighted are if the essay isn't genuinely reflective.
Meaning it's just description or like a list of events with no analysis.
Precisely. Or if there are significant issues with your writing, quality grammar, structure, clarity.
And reference citation.
Absolutely critical. Having valid, properly cited references is non-negotiable. Mess that up, and you're in trouble.
So it's about the depth of analysis, the structure, the quality of writing, and the academic rigor with sources, a combination of things.
Exactly. And ultimately, reflective practice as framed by these notes is really foundational professional learning. It's how you turn experiences and insights into actual practical strategies that shape your future nursing role.
Which brings us nicely to connecting all of this to the bigger picture and some broader ideas the notes touch upon near the end.
Like understanding global citizenship. Not just as a buzzword, but as an essential mindset for a modern nurse.
Yeah, it really changes how you view healthcare and your place within it, doesn't it? The notes also clarify what critical thinking means here.
Right. It's not about being negative or just finding fault.
No, it's about critically analyzing differences.
Differences in healthcare approaches, perhaps, like behavioral change strategies for smoking or drinking.
And analyzing the underlying factors that contribute to health outcomes and inequalities, things like age, race, religion, socioeconomic background, protected characteristics.
Seeing the complexity.
And it involves paying attention to ourselves too, doesn't it? The notes mention recognizing our own assumptions and biases.
Absolutely. Reflective practice requires self-awareness. You can reflect honestly without it. It's about continuous learning to see that bigger picture.
Which involves not just yourself, but your colleagues, patients,
Understanding their values, prioritizing patient-centered care, all of that.
and listening. Listening is highlighted as a powerful reflective tool in the notes.
Hugely important. Suspending judgment, truly hearing others' voices. That's essential whether you're at a group activity for the module or caring for patients day to day,
So reflection is partly about turning inwards to understand yourself better.
which then makes you better equipped to engage effectively with the world and the people around you. It's interconnected.
So this deep dive into these teaching notes really reveals that tackling this reflective essay assignment is much more than just, ticking a box for a module requirement.
Definitely. It's an exercise in building a fundamental professional skill.
Learning from experience, connecting local action to global awareness, and grounding your future practice in those core ethical and professional standards like the NMC Code.
It's about cultivating a mindset, really. A mindset that embraces continuous growth and ultimately improved patient care.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. If learning from global health approaches can genuinely improve local practice, how does actively reflecting on differences in healthcare systems around the world empower individual nurses like you to be advocates for positive change no matter where you end up practicing?
That's a powerful question. Something to really mull over as you embark on your own reflective journey with this assignment.